Hello and welcome to another edition of Tribulation Ready Survival. I am Michael and I've got a video for you. This will be short, but super duper important. If you're in a survival situation, whether you be at home, out in the field, out in the woods, whatever, chances are your clothing is going to take a beating. And you're not going to have your entire wardrobe with you. So it makes sense to be able to mend your clothing to make it last longer. So here's what I'm going to bring to you today. This sweatshirt that you see me wearing is probably close to 10 years old. I got it second or third hand. It happens to be my favorite sweatshirt, and I've worn it in a lot of videos. I wear it fishing a lot. I wear it under things. I beat this thing up, and it keeps on going. So what I'm getting at is this. As much as I wear this, as bad as I treat this, as old as this is, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to wear this for probably another 3 or 4 years. Depending on, what happens. But the fact of the matter is, the reason it's lasted this long is because when I got it, it had holes in it. It had some holes, mainly on the seams and a couple in the hood and around the cuffs here. And I know how to sew. It's not a girly thing. It's actually a manly thing. So that you can do your own stuff. You don't have to rely on your wife or your girlfriend or your daughter or somebody who may know how to sew. I learned how to sew in the National Guard and the Army. They teach you how to sew. Well, back then, they taught you how to sew your patches on it, so you didn't have to send them off to the cleaners to get somebody to pay some money to do that. They taught you how to sew those on. I've also had, back in junior high and high school, I took some home ec classes and they kind of taught you some things with sewing machines, but they really didn't do hand sewing. Now, the reason I say this is manly isn't because girls know how to sew and boys shouldn't know. This is manly if you really need to man it up a little bit, because sewing actually crosses over into fishing. The knots you use and being able to thread the eye of that needle is so difficult for me with my eye problems. But I still fish. I still thread that needle. I get it done, and it crosses over, guys. I use trilene knots. I use Palomar knots to use in my sewing, because, well, I could use square knots or granny knots or whatever. I could use all kinds of sewing knots. But the fact of the matter is, fishing knots do just as well, if not better, in my opinion. So that's if you got a problem with learning how to sew, man it up a little bit and cross over into fishing. So, but seriously, let me show you how you can make this last for pennies. I think since I have sewn on this, I don't know, a dozen times, I've probably spent less than $1 in materials to get this. So let me show you how, if you teach yourself how to sew, or know how to sew, let me show you how I do it, and it's something that you can keep with you. Let's take a look at what I got. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is you can get at your local dollar store small little pocket-sized sewing kits. And over the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, my wife's been really good when we go to the dollar store to get a couple of extra things, maybe a bag of beans or some rice or sewing kit or some sewing needles. They're about $1 a piece, $1, $25 or whatever for a little tiny 6 little reel roll of these little threads. And I've combined them all, this one here, I've combined them all into this container along with, and they usually come with a cheap pair of scissors, enough to cut the thread, but I usually don't use those. But it comes with buttons, it comes with some threads, different colors. You know, when you're out there in a survival situation, I don't think a color, whatever color it is going to matter to you. It doesn't really matter. As long as it can mend your pants or your shirt or your coat or whatever. And it even comes, a lot of times they'll even come with these little assisters to thread the needle with. I don't use those because, well, they just drive me nuts. But, so this is a whole bunch of kits, probably 4 or 5 of them put all together, that I keep in the house. And then I have some in my bug out bags and stuff. I put these in there because you just never know when you're going to have to sew something up. Now, this actually goes inside here. So it actually goes right inside there, and then I put the lid on, and it all goes together. So this is just a container that goes inside there with the threads. So I keep all my threads together. And then inside here, I have some nylons. I use it to keep my some of my threaded needles that I keep. Patches in here. And so we just keep, let me show you this pack of needles you get for $1 something. So you get a whole bunch of these needles, different sizes, big ones, small ones. You can even get them in packages like this. This is like $1.25 or something. It comes with these they call them mattress needles. But I'm going to tell you, not only do these things cross over into fishing, these can, if you have to give yourself, and I'm not advocating for this, but personally, I would do it myself. If you're out in the field and you have got an injury that needs stitches, temporarily, I would do that. Now, I'm not recommending you do that. That's on your own. But if I had to give myself stitches or show somebody how to do it, I would do it. You know, you got to do what you got to do. And these needles, when they're sterilized, you could probably do that. Again, not recommending, but it's something that you could do. Sewing is a multifaceted thing. So, this is the kit. I even have some, this is the kit that I use at home. But like I said, I have other ones in my, my bug out bags. And because I'm not a big fan of relying on the internet for my information all the time, because you can't guarantee that you're going to be having a connection or that it's going to be available. So when it's not available, it's good to have books like this. Household Hints and Handy Tips. Now this one is the Canadian version. It's the same information except that it's got stuff in metric. And so, you know, it was pretty cheap at the bookstore, the secondhand bookstore. Got great information in it. Let me show you what I did just today, because I ripped a hole in this sweatshirt. I am not a seamstress. I am not a professional sewing person, but I have had to sew here on this corner with some brown thread. That is a couple of years ago, and it's holding very well. This one, I just did this one today. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if we can adjust the light here a little bit. Now, again, it's not the prettiest thing on the planet, but I used some black thread and went through here, and I'm telling you, this is going to hold. Right here on the corners of this sweatshirt, kind of the weak points of it, and now, with that being on there, that's not going to be a problem for a long time. And like I said, I plan on getting 4 years out of this thing still. I'm going to keep wearing it until it just doesn't wear anymore. So, sewing kits, guys, super duper important. There's so many things that you can do with that, and they don't cost hardly anything. And they last forever until you run out of whatever. But they don't have a shelf life, guys. So, thank you for hanging out with us today here at Tribulation Ready Survival. I hope this comes in important to you and helps you if you come into a situation where you have something that you need to have mended and you have the knowledge and you have the little sewing kit with you. I'm telling you, it could be the difference between having a sweatshirt and not having a sweatshirt, having a pair of pants and having a pair of chaps. Could be the... See, okay, that's funny. But it's true. It's true. So sewing kits. Get one. Use it. Know how to use it. And I'll see you in the next video.